Most men never expect this, but after age 60, your penis begins to age faster than almost any other part of your body. What starts off subtly, slower blood flow, less sensitivity, delayed response, can actually be your body's first red flag that something more serious is going on. And here's the surprising truth. Changes in your penis are often the first visible signs of heart disease, diabetes, hormonal decline, or even early-stage cancer. Yet no one talks about it, not your buddies, not even your doctor, unless you ask. I'm Dr. William Mark. As a board-certified urologist and men's health specialist, I've spent over 3 decades helping men navigate this stage of life with confidence, dignity, and connection. I've sat across from thousands of men, fathers, veterans, grandfathers, who came in for one concern but left with answers to questions they didn't even know how to ask. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. Caring for your penis isn't about vanity, it's about health. It's about preserving your vitality, protecting your independence, and staying in control of your life, both in and out of the bedroom. The truth is, even if everything seems fine, silent damage may already be happening. But it's never too late to take action. This isn't about chasing youth. It's about showing up for yourself with smart, science-backed steps that help you age with strength. In this guide, I'll walk you through 5 essential ways to care for your penis after 60. Practical, powerful habits that don't just improve your sexual health, but your overall well-being. And by the end, I'll share the one habit almost every man overlooks, yet it might be the most important of all. So if this message already speaks to you, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. If you're ready to take ownership of your health, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. And let me know how I can better serve your journey. Because this isn't just about sex, it's about staying fully alive. 1. Keep the blood flowing. Circulation is the foundation of male vitality, and nowhere is this more true than in the penis. One of my patients, Harold, came to me at age 67. He wasn't in pain, and he wasn't even particularly concerned about sex. What brought him in was a quiet sense that something was slipping away. "Doc," he said, "I don't feel like a man anymore." It wasn't about identity. It was about the slow erosion of sensation, the lack of fullness, the muted response that made intimacy feel more like a memory than a reality. What Harold didn't know, what many men don't, is that the penis is one of the most sensitive markers of vascular health in the entire body. It contains some of the smallest blood vessels we have. When those start to narrow, become rigid, or fill less efficiently, the penis is often the first place to show it. In fact, studies have shown that erectile changes can appear 3 to 5 years before a major heart event. That means your body may be whispering a warning long before your heart shouts. But this isn't just about disease prevention. Proper blood flow keeps penile tissue alive. The smooth muscles within the penis depend on consistent oxygen and nutrient delivery to remain elastic, sensitive, and structurally intact. When circulation suffers, those muscles begin to atrophy. This can lead to weaker erections, loss of sensation, and even long-term curvature or dysfunction. The hopeful news? Circulation can be improved at any age. A simple 30-minute walk each day has been shown to dramatically enhance blood flow, not just to the heart or brain, but specifically to the genitals. Resistance training twice a week activates nitric oxide production and promotes vessel flexibility. Quitting smoking is non-negotiable. It stiffens arteries faster than any other factor. And your diet matters more than you think. Leafy greens and beets are natural nitric oxide boosters. Fatty fish like salmon help reduce vascular inflammation. Even dark chocolate, in moderation, supports endothelial function. One more overlooked tip: hydration. Blood can't flow well if it's thick like syrup. Drink enough water, and you make it easier for your body to deliver oxygen to every tissue, including the one you may feel slipping away. When Harold returned 6 months later, he was brighter. His posture had changed, so had his marriage. I didn't just get my body back, he told me. I got my connection back. That's what blood flow gives you. Not just the ability to perform, but the ability to feel, physically, emotionally, relationally. So if you've noticed a change, however small, don't ignore it. Your penis may be trying to tell you something about your heart, your habits, or your future. And you don't need to wait for a crisis. Start now. Because circulation isn't just about health. It's about staying power. And you deserve to stay in the game. Ready for part 2? Let's talk about something even simpler, yet often neglected, and why it may be the key to protecting everything you've worked so hard to hold on to. 2. Keep it clean. There's a quiet discomfort many men carry, and they rarely speak of it until it becomes unavoidable. I remember Paul, a 72-year-old retired truck driver, who walked into my office after months of tolerating a mild but persistent irritation. It wasn't pain that brought him in. It was a gradual sense that something just wasn't right. He mentioned a strange odor, occasional discomfort, and what he described as a subtle change in how he felt in his own skin. After a careful examination, we discovered a fungal infection beneath his foreskin. Completely treatable, entirely preventable, but it had quietly impacted his daily life for far too long. Paul's story is more common than you might think, especially after 60, when flexibility declines and routine self-care becomes more physically demanding. Many men start to let personal hygiene slip without even realizing it. Maybe it becomes harder to bend over, or perhaps changes in eyesight make it difficult to inspect things as thoroughly as before. For those who live alone or are widowed, it's easy to fall into a rhythm where thorough care isn't a priority anymore. But here's the truth. Neglecting hygiene isn't just about missing a spot. It's about allowing one of the most sensitive and biologically complex parts of the body to go unprotected. Poor hygiene, especially in uncircumcised men, creates an ideal environment for bacterial and fungal growth. Moisture trapped beneath the foreskin can lead to redness, soreness, and in some cases, chronic inflammation. Left untreated, these conditions can even increase the risk of serious diseases like penile cancer. These aren't rare complications, they're real and preventable. And the solution? It's as simple as it is powerful. Gentle daily care with warm water, especially under the foreskin if present, followed by thorough drying, is usually all it takes. Harsh soaps, vigorous scrubbing, or perfumed products often do more harm than good. This isn't about being overly cautious, it's about respecting a part of the body that deserves just as much care as any other. In fact, I often tell my patients, if you wouldn't treat the skin on your face that way, don't do it to your penis. What's remarkable is not just the physical improvement that follows, it's the psychological one. Men who take their hygiene seriously report feeling more in control, more confident, and surprisingly, more willing to engage with their partners. The discomfort that once created distance starts to dissolve. I've had men tell me they feel more themselves again, just from this simple habit. When Paul returned for his follow-up, he wasn't just physically better, he seemed emotionally lighter. He laughed when he said, "I didn't realize how much it was affecting me until it stopped." That's the thing about this kind of care. It's quiet but powerful. It says, I still matter, this part of me still matters. Good hygiene isn't a luxury or a chore. It's an act of self-respect. And in your 60s and beyond, that respect can make all the difference between feeling distant from your own body and feeling truly at home in it. 3. Stay sexually active, even if it's not intercourse. There's a quiet shift that happens to many men after 60. It's not always physical, it's emotional, relational, even spiritual. I once sat with Richard, a 69-year-old former Navy officer. He came to me not for a sexual issue, but for fatigue and mood swings. As we talked, he admitted he hadn't engaged in any sexual activity, not even solo, for over 2 years. It just doesn't feel important anymore, he said. But beneath his words, I sensed something deeper. a quiet resignation, a belief that this part of his life was over. What I told Richard is something I want every man over 60 to hear. Staying sexually active isn't about performance, it's about preservation. Your penis is made of living tissue that thrives on oxygen, movement, and stimulation. Without regular activity, those tissues begin to stiffen, lose elasticity, and become less responsive. And that change isn't just physical. It affects confidence, energy, even how connected you feel to your own body. Sexual activity keeps blood flowing to the penis, helps maintain nerve sensitivity, and supports hormonal balance. It also boosts mood by releasing dopamine and oxytocin, chemicals that play a role in emotional health and resilience. In other words, regular sexual expression isn't just about sex, it's about feeling alive. And here's something important. Intimacy doesn't have to mean intercourse. Touch, arousal, stimulation, these all count. For men dealing with erectile challenges or health issues, shifting the focus from performance to connection can be liberating. Whether with a partner or on your own, finding ways to stay engaged with your sexuality is one of the most underrated tools for maintaining penile health. I've seen men return to themselves simply by reintroducing this part of their lives. One man in his 70s told me after a few weeks of reconnecting with his body, "It was like I found a part of myself I thought was gone. I walk differently now. I feel like myself again." There's no shame in aging, but there's also no reason to surrender parts of yourself that still have life in them. You deserve connection. You deserve pleasure. And most importantly, you deserve to feel at home in your own skin. Still, as powerful as sexual activity is, it's only part of the picture. There's something happening beneath the surface of your body, especially as you get older. A quiet hormonal shift that most men don't notice until it starts affecting every part of their life. It's the hidden driver behind low energy, low drive, and yes, sexual changes too. Let's talk about that next. 4. Watch your testosterone, but be smart about it. When Thomas first walked into my office at 74, he didn't look like someone struggling. His numbers were steady, blood pressure in check, cholesterol managed, weight reasonable. But the man sitting in front of me was clearly out of sync with himself. "I don't feel right," he said. "I wake up tired, my mood's off, and I haven't been interested in sex in months. I just don't feel like me." Like many men his age, Thomas assumed it was simply the cost of growing older. But what we uncovered told a different story. His testosterone had dropped steadily for years, unnoticed and unaddressed. Testosterone is often misunderstood as a hormone tied only to libido or muscle. In reality, it's a foundation of male vitality. It influences mood, energy, memory, confidence, and yes, the ability to sustain healthy erections. When testosterone levels fall, the changes can be subtle at first. A little more fatigue, a shorter temper, a foggier mind. But gradually, these shifts can erode how you see yourself and how you show up in the world. For the penis, testosterone isn't optional. It plays a critical role in keeping erectile tissue functional, sensitive, and alive. When levels dip too low, the ability to respond sexually diminishes, not just in terms of performance, but in desire itself. Many men mistake this for disinterest, when it's actually a biological shift. The path back starts with awareness, but it must be approached wisely. Too many men hear about testosterone therapy and dive in headfirst without a full understanding. And while hormone replacement can be transformative for the right patient, it's not a cure-all. I've seen men misuse it, chasing quick fixes and ending up with mood swings, fluid retention, or elevated blood pressure. That's why I never recommend jumping into treatment without a comprehensive evaluation, one that includes free and total testosterone, estrogen, PSA, and more. Even more important than the lab work is how you're living. Testosterone is highly sensitive to the choices you make every day. Excess sugar, alcohol, poor sleep, stress, all of these can suppress your levels. On the other hand, lifting weights, getting consistent sleep, Eating whole foods and even reducing screen time can make a surprising difference. I've worked with men who raise their testosterone naturally without ever touching a prescription. For others, we added a gentle, medically monitored therapy, and it changed everything. That's what happened with Thomas. We created a plan tailored to his life and body: better sleep habits, resistance training, and a low-dose testosterone protocol. Within a few months, the spark was back. He wasn't just more active in the bedroom, he was smiling again, traveling again, laughing again. I didn't know how far I'd drifted from myself, he told me, until I came back. That's the real gift of hormonal health. Not just better sex or more energy, but the return of a sense of self, a feeling of being fully present in your life, fully connected to the man you still are. But as important as hormones are, there's one more step most men skip. A step that can catch life-threatening problems early or give you peace of mind for years to come. It's time we talked about what almost no one wants to do, but absolutely should. 5. Get regular penis exams. Yes, it matters. It's one of the most avoided topics in men's health, yet it could be the single most important thing you do for your future. I've lost count of how many strong, stoic men have sat across from me and said with a mix of embarrassment and honesty, "Doc, no one's ever really looked down there. Not since I was a kid." And in that moment, I always feel a quiet sadness, because I know how many issues could have been caught early, treated easily, and resolved completely if only someone had taken a closer look. Your penis is not separate from your health. It is your health. It changes over time. It ages with you. And just like your heart, your lungs, or your prostate, it needs to be checked. Not when there's a crisis, but before. The problem is, most men have been conditioned to ignore this part of themselves unless something's clearly wrong. And even then, many wait far too long to ask for help. I remember Walter, a 70-year-old who came in just to get checked. He felt fine, but something told him it was time. During a simple exam, I noticed a small lesion near the base of his penis. Nothing painful, nothing dramatic. But when we followed up, it turned out to be an early form of skin cancer. It was removed entirely. No spread, no complications. And Walter walked away, not just with his health intact, but with a deeper sense of relief and empowerment. That quick check may have saved his life. This is the part too many overlook. Penile cancer, Peyronie's disease, lichen sclerosus, undiagnosed infections, these conditions are rare but real. And they often start small. A patch of rough skin, a bend that wasn't there before, a tiny bump, or a change in color. Most are treatable, some are curable, but only if you catch them early. And you don't need to wait for a doctor to notice. Self-exams matter. Once a month, when you're relaxed, maybe in the shower or right after, you take a moment to really look. Check the skin, the shape, the texture. Gently pull back the foreskin if you have one. Notice anything that seems new or strange. This isn't vanity, it's responsibility, it's respect. But even the most diligent self-check isn't a replacement for a professional exam. During your annual physical, ask for it. Yes, you ask, because many general practitioners skip it unless there's a complaint. But a trained eye can spot what you might miss, especially when it comes to early vascular changes, hormonal shifts, or structural issues. What I've seen again and again is that this one act, this willingness to be seen, can change how a man feels about his health entirely. He stops feeling like a passenger in his own body and starts taking the wheel again. He walks taller, he breathes deeper. He remembers that he's not invisible, not forgotten, not beyond care. So if you've never had a proper genital exam, let this be the moment you decide that you will. Not out of fear, but out of respect for yourself and for the life you still want to live. Because caring for your penis isn't about shame, it's about strength. And it's one of the clearest signs that you haven't given up on the parts of you that still deserve to thrive. Now that we've covered all 5 essential pillars of caring for your penis after 60, It's time to bring everything together. Because this isn't just about your body. It's about your story, your dignity, and your power to stay connected to the man you've always been. Let's wrap it up with some final thoughts. After more than 3 decades of caring for men across the country, I've come to understand something simple but often overlooked. The most neglected part of a man's body isn't just his penis. It's his permission to care about it. From a young age, most of us are taught to power through pain, to shrug off discomfort, and to avoid talking about what happens below the belt. We learn to treat our sexual health like a taboo, a joke, or something that only matters if it stops working. But that silence comes at a cost. By the time many men reach their 60s, they've stopped paying attention altogether. Not because they don't care, but because they've never been shown that it's okay to care. That it's not weak or vain or foolish to take your body seriously. That it's actually one of the most courageous things you can do. So if you've made it this far, if you've read or listened through all 5 parts, you've already done something most men never will. You've broken that silence. You've taken a step toward reclaiming not just your sexual health, but your full presence as a man. We started by talking about blood flow, because that's where everything begins. Circulation is your body's lifeline, not just for arousal, but for energy, sleep, and brain function. Then we moved into hygiene, how something so basic, when done with care, can restore a deep sense of control and dignity. We explored the importance of sexual activity, not as performance, but as connection, a way to stay alive in your own skin. We unpacked testosterone, that quiet hormone that underpins your drive, your mood, and your sense of purpose. And finally, we faced the truth about exams, how they aren't just about finding problems, but about choosing to be seen, to be responsible, to stay in the game. Every one of these steps is rooted in a single idea: your body still matters. You are not past your prime. You are not broken or done or irrelevant. You are still here. And there is so much more life left for you to feel, to share, to enjoy. This isn't about chasing youth. It's about honoring the man you've become and giving him the care, attention, and compassion he deserves. So if something in this guide spoke to you, I ask you to do just one thing. Take action. Pick one area, just one, and start there. Maybe it's a walk around the block. Maybe it's asking your doctor for a proper check. Maybe it's simply deciding today that you are worth the effort, because you are. You always have been. And if this message meant something to you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Speak about it. Because the more we normalize this conversation, the more we give other men permission to care too. You're not alone. You're not too late. You're not finished. You're still a man, and you still matter.